Commander Taemin Park stood at the observation deck of Luna Station, watching Earth slowly turn below him. The blue and white marble looked peaceful from here, but he knew better. 30 years had passed since the aliens told humanity to stay home. 30 years since the Galactic Council decided humans were too dangerous to join their space community. The morning report sat on his desk, same as always. No alien ships detected. No messages from outside the solar system. The galaxy had forgotten about them, and maybe that was for the best. Or maybe it was exactly what humanity needed. Taemin walked back to his office and picked up the data pad. The numbers told a story the aliens would never expect. Earth now had colonies on Mars with 2 million people. The Moon housed another million. Jupiter's moons had mining stations that produced more metal than Earth ever could. And hidden in the asteroid belt, where no alien sensors could reach, humanity had built something special. Dr. Hyo-Jin Kim worked 3 shifts away on Europa Station. She spent her days listening to alien radio signals that leaked into human space. The aliens thought humans were too primitive to understand their communications. They were wrong. Hyo-Jin had learned 6 alien languages in the past decade. She knew their politics, their trade routes, and their military movements better than most aliens did. Today brought disturbing news. The Kefri Empire was expanding again. Their messages spoke of new territories and fresh resources. Hyo-Jin marked the star charts on her screen. The Kefri fleet movements formed a pattern that made her stomach turn cold. They were heading toward human space. She opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "This is Dr. Kim on Europa. I need to speak with Admiral Nam immediately." The response came back in minutes. "Admiral Nam is in a meeting. Can this wait?" "No, it cannot wait. The Kefri are moving toward our system. They think we own nothing out here." The channel stayed quiet for a long moment. Then Admiral Kyung-ho Nam's voice came through, calm and steady. "Send me everything you have, Doctor. How much time do we have?" Hyo-Jin looked at her calculations again. 6 months, maybe 7. They are taking their time because they expect no resistance. "They expect wrong," Nam said. "Send the data to Luna Command. Commander Park needs to see this." Far out at the edge of the solar system, Captain Dongwoo Lee commanded the patrol ship EDS Incheon. His crew of 20 kept watch on the heliopause, the boundary where solar wind met empty space. It was boring work most days. Today was different. "Captain, we have contacts," called Lieutenant Bo-Ra-Han from the sensor station. 3 ships, unknown design, moving slowly through the outer system. Dongwoo moved to look at her screen. The ships were large, angular, and moved with the confidence of people who owned the space they traveled through. Distance? 2 million kilometers and closing. They are scanning everything. The gas giants, the asteroid belt, even the inner planets. "Do they know we are here?" Bo-Ra checked her readings again. "No, sir. We are running silent, and they are not looking for us. They act like they own this place already." Dongwoo watched the alien ships move through human space like tourists in a museum. They measured everything, recorded everything, and ignored the possibility that anyone might object. It made his jaw clench with anger. "Record everything," he ordered. "Every scan pattern, every communication, every movement. When they leave, we follow them to the edge of our space and see which direction they go." The alien ship spent 3 days mapping the outer solar system. They paid special attention to the gas giants and their moons. One ship even approached Mars before turning away. They never detected the human colonies, the mining stations, or the patrol ships that watched them from the shadows. When the aliens finally left, they transmitted a single message toward the galactic core. Dongwoo's communication officer, Ensign In-Soo Jang, managed to record it. "Can you translate it?" Dongwoo asked. In-Soo worked for an hour with the computer's alien language database. Finally, he looked up with a grim expression. "It says, territory surveyed. No resistance expected. Recommend colonization begin immediately." The message reached Admiral Nam within hours. He sat in his office beneath Earth's surface, reading the reports from Europa, Luna, and the Incheon. The pattern was clear. The aliens had decided to take human space. They expected no fight because they thought humans had given up. Nam opened his personal communication system and sent messages to commanders across the solar system. The messages were short and used code words that would mean nothing to alien listeners. But every human officer understood. The time for hiding was over. On Mars, General Sorayun received her orders and smiled for the first time in months. Her division had trained for this day, drilling in the low gravity and thin air until they could fight anywhere. Now they would finally see action. In the asteroid belt, Captain Sujin Choi commanded the mining station New Seoul. Except it was not really a mining station. The huge facility produced ships instead of ore. For 30 years, human engineers had built vessels in secret, hidden among the rocks where no alien sensor could find them. Sujin walked through the massive construction bays where her crews put the finishing touches on the newest ships. These were not the crude vessels Earth had possessed before the quarantine. 30 years of focused development had produced something the galaxy had never seen. The ships were smaller than alien dreadnoughts but faster and more maneuverable. They carried fusion reactors that could power weapons the aliens had never imagined. Most importantly, they were built by people who remembered how to fight. Nam's final message went to President Wu Jin-Lee in Geneva. It contained a single question. Are we ready to show them who we really are? The president's response came back immediately. Give them hell, Admiral. The galaxy expected humanity's quiet submission. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. 6 months later, the Kefri invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. 40 massive ships emerged from the void, their hulls gleaming with the arrogance of a species that had conquered worlds for 1,000 years. Admiral Zethkar commanded the fleet from his flagship, a vessel longer than Earth's largest cities. Begin scanning for primitive settlements, Zethkar ordered his crew. These humans should have a few basic colonies we can relocate before we claim their star. The Kefri expected to find scared primates hiding on their homeworld. Instead, they found Captain Sujin Choi waiting for them. Unknown vessels, you have entered Terran space without permission. Sujin's voice reached the alien fleet on all frequencies. Turn around now or face the consequences. Zethkar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Consequences? From humans. Deploy the occupation fleet and ignore their babbling. 20 Kefri ships moved toward the inner system. They had traveled 3 light years to claim this territory and would not be stopped by empty threats from primitives. The lead ships crossed the orbit of Neptune and prepared to continue their advance. That was when the first wave hit them. The EDS Incheon, now fitted with weapons that had not existed during the alien survey, struck from behind Neptune's shadow. Captain Dongwu Li fired a full spread of plasma torpedoes at the lead Kefri ship. The alien vessel's shields flared and died under the unexpected assault. Contact! Contact! Screamed the Kefri communication channels. We are under attack by unknown forces! But Dongwu was not alone. 30 human ships revealed themselves across the outer system, each one firing at maximum range. The Kefri formation scattered as vessels that should have been primitive, threw fire that burned through their shields like paper. Admiral Kyung-ho Nam watched the battle from the bridge of the EDS Seoul, hidden among Saturn's rings with the main human fleet. His officers gave him updates as the outer defense line engaged the enemy. First wave successful, Admiral, reported Captain Chan Woo Kim from the tactical station. Enemy formation is broken. They are falling back to regroup. Losses? 2 ships damaged, none destroyed. The aliens lost 3 vessels completely. Nam nodded. 30 years of preparation had led to this moment. While the galaxy grew fat and lazy, humanity had learned to fight in the darkness between worlds. Now they would see what humans could do when they stopped hiding. Lieutenant Bo Ra Han flew her fighter from the carrier EDS Busan, leading a squadron of 20 small craft toward the alien fleet. The Kefri had never seen human fighters before. Their massive ships were built to fight other dreadnoughts, not swarms of tiny vessels that moved like angry insects. Target their weapon ports, Bo Ra ordered her pilots. Hit them where they cannot shoot back. The human fighters dove between the alien ships, too small and fast for the massive guns to track. They struck at sensor arrays, weapon mounts, and engine exhausts with precision that spoke of years of training. The Kefri fleet found itself blind and stumbling, as its most advanced systems failed under the coordinated assault. Engineer In Soo-jang worked frantically in the Souls. weapons bay as reports came in from the battle. The Kefri had activated energy shields that absorbed the first wave of human plasma fire. But Insu had spent 5 years studying alien technology captured from the scout ships. Switching to frequency cycling, he announced to his team, "If their shields work on one frequency, we will hit them with 20. The human weapons began shifting their output every few seconds, cycling through energy patterns faster than alien computers could adapt. Shield after shield collapsed as the Kefri technology failed to keep up with human innovation. Admiral Zethkar stared at his tactical display in growing horror. Half his fleet was damaged or destroyed, and he still had not seen the main human force. These primitives fought like nothing in the galaxy's history. Coordinated, adaptable, and utterly ruthless. "How many ships do they have?" he demanded of his intelligence officer. "Unknown, Admiral. Our sensors detect at least 60 vessels, but they use jamming technology we cannot penetrate. 60 ships? Against our 40? That should be manageable." The intelligence officer's face went pale. "Admiral, I think there are more. Much more." That was when Admiral Nam decided to show the aliens what humanity had really built during their 30 years of isolation. The Sol emerged from Saturn's rings, followed by the EDS Busan, EDS Daegu, and EDS Gwangju. Behind them came 50 more ships, then 50 more, then 50 more. The hidden shipyards of the asteroid belt had produced 200 vessels, each one designed with hard-won lessons from human history. They moved in perfect formation, their crews trained to fight as one mind with 200 bodies. Kefri Fleet. "This is Admiral Nam of the Terran Defense Force." His voice cut through space like a blade. "You came here expecting to find victims. Instead, you found warriors. Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to the laws of war." Zethkar's response was to order his remaining ships to attack. 25 battered Kefri vessels charged toward the human fleet, their weapons firing wildly. It was the last mistake they would ever make. The human ships opened fire as one. 200 vessels coordinated their attacks with computer precision, concentrating their fire to overwhelm enemy shields before moving to the next target. The Kefri advance lasted exactly 4 minutes before the last alien ship exploded in a ball of plasma. Admiral Zethkar found himself the sole survivor, his flagship surrounded by human vessels that could have destroyed him instantly but chose not to. A communication channel opened and he saw the face of Admiral Nam for the first time. "You will carry a message back to your empire," Nam said calmly. "Tell them that humanity is no longer hiding. Tell them that we have had 30 years to prepare for this day. And tell them that any species that comes here seeking conquest will find only death. The galaxy will not stand for this," Zethkar snarled. "The Council will send fleets to crush you." Nam smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Let them come. We will be waiting." The surviving Kefri ship limped away toward the galactic core, carrying news that would shake the foundations of alien civilization. The quarantine that was meant to contain humanity had instead forged them into something the galaxy had never seen: a unified, technological, and utterly determined species. On Earth, President Wu Jin Lee received Admiral Nam's report with satisfaction. The first test was over and humanity had passed with distinction. But she knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would respond to this defeat, and humanity needed to be ready for whatever came next. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human expansion had begun. The news of the Kefri defeat spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. Hyperspace communication networks carried the impossible story from world to world. The humans, those primitive apes locked away in their single star system, had destroyed one of the galaxy's most powerful invasion fleets. On the crystal world of Veth Prime, High Coordinator Zilthara received the report from her intelligence networks. She read the data 3 times before accepting its truth. The Kefri Empire had lost 40 ships to a species the Galactic Council had dismissed as irrelevant. "How is this possible?" she asked her military advisor. "Our last report showed humans with basic fusion technology and a few dozen patrol ships." "The reports were 30 years old," the advisor replied carefully. "It appears the humans used their isolation to improve themselves." On the gas giant Mortal Prime, the collective's governing minds processed the information with growing alarm. They had voted to quarantine humanity because humans fought too much among themselves. Now it seemed the humans had stopped fighting each other and started preparing for everyone else. The Galactic Council called an emergency session for the first time in 50 years. Representatives from a dozen species, gathered in the crystal halls of Nexus Station to discuss what they had never expected to discuss: a threat to galactic order. From the quarantined humans, Ambassador Yeonwoo Park received the Council's communication while eating breakfast in Geneva. For 30 years, human diplomatic messages had been ignored by the galaxy. Now the same aliens who had refused to acknowledge humanity's existence wanted to talk. They are requesting immediate diplomatic contact, his aide reported. The message is marked urgent and uses formal protocols usually reserved for major powers. Yeonwoo smiled as he finished his coffee. His older brother Tai-min had told him this day would come. Schedule a conference call for tomorrow afternoon. Let them wait a little longer. Dr. Mi Young-song worked in Earth's Strategic Analysis Center, deep beneath Seoul. Her job was to understand alien politics and military capabilities. The intelligence gathered from the Kefri ships painted a clear picture of galactic weakness. The major powers have not fought a real war in over 1,000 years, she reported to President Lee. Their military technology has advanced, but their tactical knowledge has not. They build bigger ships but forget how to use them effectively. The captured Kefri data revealed that most alien species maintained small, defensive fleets designed for patrol and ceremony, rather than actual combat. The galaxy had been peaceful for so long that they had forgotten how to wage war. Commander Jae-hyun-oh led humanity's intelligence division from a base on Titan. His teams had spent decades intercepting alien communications and mapping galactic civilization. The Kefri defeat had opened new sources of information as panicked alien governments increased their military communications. The Mortal Collective is mobilizing their home defense fleet, he reported to Admiral Nam. 50 vessels, mostly converted cargo ships with hastily installed weapons. They think we might attack them next. Will we? Nam asked. Not unless they attack us first. But they do not know that. Captain Yoon-ji Lim commanded the diplomatic vessel EDS Geneva as it traveled to the Rethval trading stations at the edge of human space. The Rethval were neutral traders who sold goods to everyone and fought no one. If any aliens could be reasoned with, it would be them. The Rethval stations were massive structures that served as meeting points for galactic commerce. When the Geneva approached, Yoon-ji expected the usual challenges and delays that came with contacting alien facilities. Instead, the station master opened communication immediately. Human vessel, you are welcome at Rethval Station 7, the alien voice said quickly. We offer full trading privileges, fuel, supplies, whatever you need. Please dock at the premium berths. Yoon-ji looked at her first officer in surprise. Premium berths? Those are reserved for major galactic powers. Apparently we are a major galactic power now, the officer replied. When Yoon-ji met with the Rethval Trade Council, she found aliens who were eager to please and clearly nervous. They offered trade agreements that heavily favored humanity, access to galactic markets and information about other species' weaknesses. We have always respected human potential, the lead trader said carefully. Perhaps we could discuss exclusive trading partnerships. It became clear that the entire galaxy was reassessing humanity's place in the cosmic order. Species that had ignored human diplomatic messages for decades now competed to offer the best trade deals. The Kefri defeat had shown that humans were not victims to be ignored but potential allies or enemies to be courted. Dr. Hyo-jin Kim continued monitoring alien communications from Europa Station. The intelligence she gathered painted a picture of a galaxy in panic. Military fleets that had not moved in decades were being activated. Defense budgets were being increased, and everyone wanted to know exactly how many ships humanity possessed. The Vethkai are demanding answers from the Council, she reported. They want to know why the humans were quarantined instead of being properly monitored. Some species are calling for a preemptive strike before humanity becomes too powerful. And others? President Lee asked during their secure conference. Others are suggesting immediate diplomatic recognition and trade agreements. The galaxy is splitting into those who want to fight us and those who want to join us. The most interesting intelligence came from the Kefri Empire itself. Rather than planning revenge, the surviving Kefri were engaged in heated internal debates. Some called for a massive military response. Others argued that humanity should be approached as equals. A few even suggested that the Kefri should seek alliance with the humans against other galactic powers. Engineer In Soo-jung worked around the clock to analyze captured alien technology. The HFY ships had provided a wealth of information about galactic military capabilities. What he found was both encouraging and troubling. Their technology is more advanced than ours in some areas, he reported to the Technical Council. Their faster-than-light drives are 50% more efficient. Their energy weapons have longer range, but their tactical systems are centuries out of date. What does that mean for us? Asked Dr. Kim from the research team. It means they can build better tools, but they have forgotten how to use them. We can close the technology gap, but they cannot close the tactical gap. Experience in war cannot be bought or built. As reports flowed in from across the galaxy, one fact became clear. The 30-year quarantine had changed both humanity and the galaxy around them. Humans had used their isolation to unify and prepare for the greater universe. The aliens had used the peace to grow complacent and forget the harsh realities of conflict. President Lee called a cabinet meeting to discuss humanity's next steps. The galaxy was watching now, and every decision would have consequences far beyond Earth's solar system. We have their attention, she said to the assembled leaders. The question is what we do with it. Do we try to integrate peacefully into galactic civilization, or do we forge our own path? Admiral Nam's answer was simple and direct. We forge our own path. The galaxy had 30 years to include us and chose not to. Now we include ourselves on our own terms. The message was clear. Humanity would no longer wait for galactic approval or recognition. They had announced their presence with the thunder of weapons and the wreckage of enemy ships. The galaxy could choose to welcome them as equals or face them as enemies. Either way, the age of human isolation was over forever. The Vethkai crystal hegemony had ruled the galaxy's technological advancement for 5,000 years. Their crystalline ships harvested energy from stars themselves and moved through space protected by quantum barriers that had never been broken. When High Archon Velthar decided that humanity must be eliminated, none questioned the decision. The humans have upset the natural order, Velthar announced to the hegemony's war council. They destroy established powers and threaten the stability we have maintained for millennia. This cannot be allowed to continue. The Eternal Fleet had not been deployed for combat in over 1,000 years. 50 crystalline dreadnoughts emerged from their berths in the Vethkai home system, each one a masterpiece of technology that made human ships look like crude metal boxes. The fleet's quantum barriers had stopped every weapon ever fired at them. Their stellar energy cannons could crack planets. Admiral Sungmin Kang received the intelligence reports at New Sol Station, the massive fortress shipyard hidden deep in the asteroid belt. The Vethkai were coming with their most powerful fleet, and this time humanity faced technology that truly was superior to their own. How long until they arrive? He asked Commander Park. 3 weeks, maybe 4. They move slower than the HFY, but their shields will absorb anything we can throw at them. Sungmin walked through the construction bays where human engineers worked frantically to complete new vessels. The shipyards had expanded far beyond their original size, growing through the asteroid belt like metal coral. 200 ships had defeated the HFY. Against the Vethkai, humanity would field 500. Dr. Haewon Cho had spent 2 years studying the quantum physics data captured from alien ships. Her team worked in laboratories carved from asteroid rock, developing weapons that existed only in theoretical papers. The quantum tunneling torpedo was their greatest achievement, a weapon that could bypass any known defense by existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The theory is sound, she reported to Admiral Kang. The torpedoes phase out of normal space, travel through quantum foam, and rematerialize inside the target. No shield can stop them because they never touch the shield. And the practice? Haewon smiled grimly. We test them on the captured HFY hull tomorrow. If they work, we will have 24 hours to build enough for the fleet. Captain Chan-Woo Kim commanded the EDS Ulsan, one of humanity's newest vessels designed specifically to fight the Vethkai. Unlike the earlier ships built for speed and maneuverability, the Ulsan carried experimental weapons and thick armor, designed to survive long enough to test new tactics. His crew had trained for months in the asteroid fields, learning to coordinate with computer precision. Every ship in the human fleet could communicate instantly with every other ship, creating a collective intelligence that could adapt to any situation faster than alien commanders could respond. The test of the quantum torpedoes exceeded all expectations. The HFY hull simply vanished as the weapons materialized inside its reactor core. Within hours, every human ship was being fitted with the new weapons. But Admiral Kang knew that weapons alone would not defeat the Vethkai. Their crystalline ships were too powerful, and their experience too vast. Humanity needed to fight smarter, not just harder. General Sora Yun prepared her Marines for a different kind of battle. The Vethkai ships were huge and carried thousands of crew members. If the human fleet could disable their ships instead of destroying them, boarding parties could capture invaluable technology and prisoners. "We are not just fighting for victory," she told her troops aboard the assault carrier EDS Incheon. "We are fighting for the future of human expansion. Every piece of alien technology we capture brings us closer to true equality in this galaxy." The Vethkai fleet arrived at the Proxima Relay, a strategic hyperspace junction 3 light-years from Earth. High Admiral Zekthar commanded the Eternal Fleet from his flagship, a crystalline cathedral that sang with harmonic energy as it moved through space. "Begin the assault," he ordered. "Show these primitives the true power of the hegemony." The Vethkai ships advanced in perfect formation, their quantum barriers shimmering like aurora around their hulls. They expected the humans to meet them head-on, ship against ship in the traditional manner of space combat. Instead, they found empty space. Captain Chan Woo Kim watched from his position behind Proxima's asteroid field as the alien fleet spread out to search for the human force. The Vethkai moved like they owned the system, confident in their invulnerability. "All ships, initiate Phase 1. Admiral Kang's voice reached every human vessel through quantum-encrypted channels. The human fleet revealed itself in waves. First came the fighters, 200 small craft that swarmed around the massive alien ships like insects around giants. The Vethkai point defense systems fired frantically, but there were too many targets moving too fast. Then came the destroyers, 50 fast ships that struck at the alien formation's edges before disappearing back into the asteroid field. Their conventional weapons could not penetrate Vethkai shields, but they forced the aliens to maintain their barriers at full power. Finally, the main battle fleet emerged from hyperspace behind the alien formation. 300 human ships appeared as one, their quantum torpedoes already armed and targeted. "Fire," Admiral Kang ordered. Space lit up with the launch of 6,000 quantum torpedoes. The Vethkai shields flared uselessly as the weapons phased through normal space and rematerialized inside their targets. Crystalline hulls cracked and shattered as reactors overloaded and weapon systems exploded. High Admiral Zekthar watched in horror as half his fleet died in the first salvo. The quantum barriers that had protected the Vethkai for millennia were useless against weapons that never touched them. "Impossible," he whispered, as his own ship shuddered under internal explosions. "Our shields have never been breached." "Your shields were never breached." Admiral Kang's voice reached him through the communication channels. "We simply went around them." The battle became a massacre as human ships surrounded the surviving Vethkai vessels. But instead of finishing them off, the human fleet suddenly stopped firing. General Sora Yun's voice reached every ship on both sides. "Attention, Vethkai forces. Your shields are down and your weapons are offline. Surrender now and your crews will be treated with honor. Continue fighting and you will all die." It was a moment that would reshape galactic history. The most powerful military force in the galaxy faced a choice between destruction and surrender to a species they had considered primitive. High Admiral Zekthar looked at his ruined fleet and made the hardest decision of his 500-year life. "All ships, stand down. We surrender to the human forces." The boarding parties that followed were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human Marines moved through Vethkai ships with discipline and precision, securing prisoners and technology while treating their enemies with respect. They took no trophies, committed no atrocities, and offered medical aid to wounded aliens. Captain Yoonji Lim led the team that secured Zekthar's flagship. When she met the alien admiral, she saluted him with military courtesy. "Your fleet fought with honor," she told him. "Your technology will help us protect this galaxy from greater threats." "Greater threats?" Zekthar asked. "What could be greater than your species?" Yoonji smiled sadly. "You will understand when you see the intelligence we have gathered from beyond the galactic rim. This galaxy faces dangers that make our conflicts look like children's games. Within days, the news of humanity's second victory spread even faster than the first. The Vethkai defeat shattered the galaxy's understanding of military power. If the crystal hegemony could be beaten, then no species was truly safe. But the most shocking news was not the victory itself, but what came after. Instead of enslaving or destroying their enemies, the humans offered the defeated Vethkai citizenship in something called the Terran Confederation. Any species willing to contribute to collective defense and advancement would be welcomed as equals. The galaxy began to realize that humanity fought not for conquest, but for transformation. They were not trying to replace the old order with human dominance. They were trying to build something entirely new, a civilization based on cooperation rather than fear. The age of galactic empires was ending. The age of the Terran Confederation had begun. 6 months after the Battle of Proxima, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The old Galactic Council dissolved when 3/4 of its member species withdrew to join the Terran Confederation. The remaining council members found themselves ruling over empty chambers and ignored treaties. President Wu Jin Li stood at the observation deck of New Geneva Station, Earth's orbital capital. Below her, the planet that had once been quarantined now served as the beating heart of a galactic alliance. Ships from dozens of species docked at the massive space, elevators that carried goods and people to the surface. The Galactic Assembly Hall buzzed with translation software as representatives from 40 species debated trade agreements, defense treaties, and exploration missions. Where the old council had maintained order through fear and tradition, the assembly moved forward through innovation and mutual benefit. The Rethval have completed their application for full membership. Ambassador Yanwu Park reported as he joined the president at the observation window. They bring 80 trading stations and the most extensive commercial network in the galaxy. And the Mortal Collective? Still debating. Half their governing minds want to join us, half want to remain neutral. They should reach a decision within the next few cycles. President Li watched a group of Vethkai engineers work alongside human technicians on the construction of a new exploration vessel. The former enemies had become some of humanity's strongest supporters, bringing crystal technology that enhanced every aspect of Confederation ships. Ambassador Dae-Yun Park managed the integration of former enemies into the Confederation structure. Her offices in New Geneva processed applications from species that had fought humanity just months before. The Kefri, thoroughly defeated but offered reconstruction aid, had become vocal advocates for human leadership. They understand something the old powers never did, Dae-Yun explained to her staff. Strength alone cannot build lasting civilization. You need vision, cooperation, and the willingness to lift up former enemies. The Kefri integration program had become a model for other species. Rather than being conquered and occupied, the Kefri kept their government and culture while contributing their military expertise to Confederation defense forces. Former Kefri officers now served alongside human commanders, sharing centuries of tactical knowledge. Admiral Taemin Park, now Supreme Commander of Confederate Forces, reviewed the deployment reports from his flagship, the massive EDS Confederation. The vessel itself represented the new era, a hybrid design incorporating human engineering, Vethkai crystal technology, and Kefri weapon systems. We have mixed-species crews on 60% of our vessels, his aide reported. The integration is proceeding faster than projected. Taemin smiled as he watched Vethkai engineers work alongside human technicians in the ship's engineering bay. Communication had been difficult at first, but necessity had driven innovation. Universal translators now allowed real-time conversation between any species in the Confederation. The first mixed-species exploration mission launched from Mars orbit with great ceremony. The EDS Horizon carried a crew of humans, Vethkai, Rethval, and even 3 reformed Kefri officers. Their mission was to explore the Andromeda sector, where no galactic civilization had ever ventured. Captain Sujin Choi commanded the Horizon with the same skill she had shown during the first Kefri attack. But now her tactical display showed not enemy positions but unexplored star systems and potential colony sites. The galaxy's focus had shifted from conflict to discovery. Long-range sensors detect 17 habitable worlds in this sector alone, reported her Vethkai science officer through the translation system. 3 show signs of primitive life. Mark them for detailed study, Sujin ordered. The Confederation's first rule is that we explore, not conquer. Dr. Hyojin Kim had moved her research to a new facility on Titan, where teams of scientists from multiple species worked to understand the galaxy's greatest mysteries. The intelligence they had gathered about external threats remained classified, but their implications drove research into ever more advanced technologies. The signals from beyond the galactic rim are getting stronger, she reported to the Science Council. Whatever sent them is still out there, and it is still moving toward us. The external threat had become the Confederation's greatest unifying factor. Species that had fought each other for millennia now worked together to prepare for something that might threaten all life in the galaxy. Human military doctrine emphasized that any force capable of crossing intergalactic space would be far beyond what any single species could handle. Engineer In Sujong led the technology integration program from his new laboratory on Europa. His teams worked to combine the best innovations from every member species into tools that none could have built alone. The results exceeded even optimistic projections. Veth-Chi crystal matrices increase our computer processing by 400%, he reported to the technical assembly. Kefri gravitational manipulation allows us to build ships twice as large as before, and human tactical systems coordinate everything into a fighting force the galaxy has never seen. The new ships rolling out of Confederation shipyards looked like nothing that had existed before. They combined human pragmatism with alien sophistication, creating vessels that were both beautiful and deadly. More importantly, they were built by crews that included engineers from every member species. Captain Dongwu Li commanded one of the new exploration fleets as they pushed beyond the galaxy's outer rim. His ships carried the most advanced sensors ever built, scanning for signs of the intelligence that had been detected years earlier. Contact bearing 27 Mark 15, his sensor officer reported. Artificial construct, unknown design, distance approximately 1 light-year. Can you determine its origin? Negative, Captain, but it is definitely not from our galaxy. The discovery sent shockwaves through the Confederation. The external threat was real, and it was closer than anyone had hoped. But instead of causing panic, the news strengthened the alliance between species that had learned to trust each other. President Li addressed the Galactic Assembly with calm determination. We face a challenge that no single species could overcome alone. But we do not face it alone. We face it as a unified civilization that draws strength from our diversity. The Assembly's response was unanimous approval for the largest military and scientific expansion in galactic history. Every member species contributed their best people and resources to a collective effort that dwarfed anything attempted before. Dr. Myung Song coordinated the strategic planning from her new headquarters on Luna. The intelligence network she had built during the isolation years now spanned the galaxy, gathering information about external threats and internal challenges with equal efficiency. The remaining independent species are reconsidering their positions, she reported to the Leadership Council. Even the most stubborn empires are starting to realize they cannot face galactic-scale threats alone. The transformation was remarkable. Species that had maintained independence for millennia began applying for Confederation membership. The promise of protection and advancement outweighed their traditional pride and isolationism. As the first year of the Terran Confederation drew to a close, the galaxy had become something unprecedented. Instead of dozens of competing empires maintaining tense peace through fear, a single alliance of equals worked together toward common goals. The Confederation's fleet now numbered over 1,000 ships crewed by beings from 40 different worlds. Their mission was no longer to conquer or defend territory, but to explore the universe and protect all intelligent life within it. Admiral Taemin Park stood on the bridge of the Confederation as the fleet prepared for its largest mission yet. Intelligence suggested that the external threat would arrive within the next few years. When it came, it would find not a divided galaxy of squabbling empires, but a united civilization ready to defend everything they had built together. All fleets report ready, Admiral, his communications officer announced. Then let us show the universe what we have become, Taemin replied. The galaxy had expected humanity's quiet submission to alien authority. Instead, they heard the roar of warships that announced not conquest but liberation. The birth of a truly unified galactic civilization that would face whatever challenges awaited among the stars. The age of isolated empires was over. The age of the Terran Confederation had begun, and with it the greatest adventure in galactic history.